Hey, welcome back. It's Richard Smith, Apostolic Praise School of Music. In this lesson, we're going to be learning about different types of timing and beats. And we're also going to be teaching you an actual real simple beat that you can use for real songs. We're going to be using this a beat. It's the main beat that we actually use when we're playing in a lot of songs. And so I'm really excited about it. Also, we're going to be looking at using this beat in an example song, which is very commonly known right now, Break Every Chain. Although you can actually use this beat in many different songs. It's the whole skeleton and the whole basis of playing the drums. All right, so let's jump into it. So first thing we're going to do before we actually get into the beat is we're going to learn about different types of timing. And the main two types of rhythm we use in church are known as 4/4 timing and 3/4 timing. Don't worry about the technical aspect of that right now, why it's called that, but just for now, think of 4/4 timing as basically counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, songs that play like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how most songs are played, okay? 4/4 timing, or what's called a common time. The other one that we use a lot is called 3/4 timing. And basically, this is songs that count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And there's other types of timing, but these are the two main ones. Think of like Amazing Grace. Amazing, 1, 2, 3, how sweet, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so songs like that have like that 3 timing as opposed to having the 4 timing, if you want to think about it like that. Okay, there's a lot more here. Like I said, we're not going to get too much to the technical aspect of it here because I really just want to get you playing and playing fast. Okay, so let's learn one more thing here, and then we'll actually start playing. So I want to introduce you to something called metronomes. Now, you probably know what this is already, but a metronome is basically a device that helps you keep rhythm. And it basically makes like a click, 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 click. And it really just kind of does it at different speeds, but you can do it faster or slower. And it helps you stay on beat and not speed up or slow down. And this is really important, especially when you're like a beginner, because most people don't have perfect rhythm. They're not born with perfect rhythm. And so they need to practice with a metronome. All right, so it helps you keep a steady, consistent beat, and every good drummer, you really want to learn to practice with a metronome. Now, we used to use like an old school looking thing, like it was like a wooden box, like shaped in a triangle, had this little stick that came out. I mean, super old school, and that was what metronomes used to be. Now most people have like digital metronomes, like a little black box, and you can speed it up or slow it down using a little knob on there. And if you're really cutting edge, you can actually get, and this is what I like to do, get a metronome app on your phone. And you can actually use a free app called GarageBand, which you can download currently in the App Store. And it has a built-in metronome. And I'm going to actually show you that right here just to give you an example of what that sounds like on my iPad here. So I've got this one set. I think it's 120 beats per minute. We'll talk about that, what that means later. But 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I'm playing and I want to keep a little steady beat on the hi-hat, okay, so it helps me to stay on beat so I'm not, off beat and not playing it wrong. So that's just the general idea of how it works. And that's basically what a metronome is. And it's very important to practice with one. Like I said, I like to use GarageBand. There's a lot of free apps that you can use, but GarageBand is one of my favorites. There's even a metronome, a free metronome online on a website that you can get, probably different websites from what I found. But this one was on www.a.bestmetronome.com, and it's actually in your study guide, the link, so you can just go there and click it as well, or just type it into your web browser. And like I said, you can speed the beat up or slow it down by adjusting the BPM. Now the BPM means the beats per minute. Now we know there's 60 seconds in a minute, so a clock goes tick tock tick every second, right? 1, 2, 3, 60 seconds in a minute. So a clock is set at 60 beats per minute. So if you're speeding up faster than that, 70, 80, 90 beats per minute, then you're going to be going faster than the clock ticks, okay? If you're going at like 40 or 50 beats per minute, you're going slower than the clock ticks, all right? Hopefully that makes sense right there. It's a good analogy for you. A lot of really fast, like shout type beats, if you're familiar with what those are, shout beats are usually like really fast. They're usually 140, 150 beats per minute. Okay, so that's basically how that works. But I really highly recommend getting a metronome and practicing with one because it's really going to make you a better drummer. I mean, I'll be honest, I've known people that were, when they started off, they were not very good drummers. They had really bad rhythm. And even other people would say stuff about them like, oh, they can't play the drums because they don't have good rhythm. But that's really not true, because rhythm is something that you can actually work on and you can perfect. Now, I understand there may be some people that have perhaps such bad rhythm that they can't ever get good rhythm, but I think that those kind of people are probably few and far between. I haven't met very many people like that. So you can practice it, and I've known people that, like I said, that they had bad rhythm starting off and they just kept working at it, practicing with a metronome, practicing, and eventually their rhythm got better and they became a fantastic drummer. So hopefully that'll encourage you if you don't have perfect rhythm yet, which most of us probably don't if we're just starting off. All right, so that's what a metronome is. So let's go ahead and learn a simple beat. Let's actually jump into it now, and we're going to try to apply this to a real song. And I got my notes here in front of me on my iPad just because I want to make sure we're looking at the same thing on the same page. So, like I said, when we play a normal song, we normally count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's how we do it on the drums. So first of all, our setup. My right foot needs to be on the pedal of the bass drum. Okay, right foot's on the pedal of the bass drum. Left foot is on the pedal of the hi-hat. Okay, and the right hand is going to be holding the drumstick. We already showed you how to hold the drumstick. Thumb right here, and then you get your hands like this. Okay, and the right hand's going to actually play the hi-hat. Okay, like this. And you're kind of just like turning your wrist when you do it. Okay, so that's how we're going to hit the hi-hat, like that. And underneath with our left hand, we're actually going to hit the snare. Okay, so our left hand plays the snare, right hand plays the hi-hat. Okay, right foot on the bass drum, left foot on the hi-hat pedal. All right, so that's pretty much how we play. So when we're counting, the first one we want to use is the hi-hat. So the hi-hat, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to hit it every beat. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Bass drum, we're going to play on the 1 and the 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay. And a quick note here on the bass drum. When you play the bass drum, you're not like picking up your whole foot. You know, and we might do a separate video on this perhaps, but you're not picking up your whole foot. All you're literally doing is your heel is staying on the ground, and just the end of your foot, where your toes are, is going up and down. Your heel does not come up or down. Okay, I've seen some drummers, they're like stomping, you know, they're like hitting the pedal with like their whole foot. That is not the best way to pick up speed. Best way to pick up speed: keep your heel solidly on the ground or on the bass drum pedal, and only the part where your toes are and the end of your foot should be going up or down and hitting it. Okay, so once again, now that we get that out of the way, bass drum, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And once again, this is just generally how it works. Okay, the bass drum typically is 1 and 3, and the snare is going to be on 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's pretty much how that works. Now the hard part is putting it all together, right? Getting it all and playing it all at one time. So what I usually recommend is just get each part down individually. So do the hi-hat, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do the bass drum, 1, 2, and count out loud like this, literally. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe do it like 15, 20 times each on each one until you get it down really well. And then go to the snare. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're really just working on basic stuff here, just technique stuff, okay? Now once you get that down pretty good, what I would do is I would add the hi-hat and try to do the hi-hat and the snare together, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a little trick you can use is you can say right together, right together, right together. And I apologize, my snare sounds a little funny right now. We're actually in the middle of getting a new snare right now. This is currently all we have. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I just hit the snare right in the middle of the drum. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And once you get that down, what you can do is do the hi-hat and the bass drum together. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can say together, right, together, right, together, right, together, right. Okay, now the next one you could do, maybe do the snare and the bass together, okay? Leave out the hi-hat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And once again, do these each like 15, 20 times each until you get it down really, really well. And then once you've done those little exercises together, then jump in and let's try to do it all together. And start it off really slow, because one thing we're going to really push in this course is that slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So you want to do it slow first, get that smooth, and then when you go faster, it's going to be smoother, it's going to be better, okay? It's not going to be sloppy. We don't want it to be sloppy, we want it to be good timing and everything, okay? So now let's try it all together. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Pretty simple, right? And then you can speed it up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can get even faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And you get even faster, okay? And that's why I say this is the basic skeleton for each one of these beats, because you probably recognize, and even as you hear me playing it, you're thinking, oh, that beat would fit well in this song or that song. Okay, so the last beat would maybe go well in a shout song. You know, there is power in the blood. There is power. Okay, so, you know, stuff like that. So those are just some examples right there. Hopefully that makes sense and helps you out there. And the last thing we want to do here for this lesson is actually play it with a real song. Now, you can practice this beat just by itself first. That's what I recommend. And then after you've done that, then try to practice it with a real song. Now, drums are a little different, okay, than piano. Piano, slow songs are easier to play, and fast songs are a little harder. On the drums, the slow songs, at least for most people, are more difficult because you're going slower and you just want to speed it up. And then the fast songs, they're kind of difficult. You know, they come easier, though, I think, than the slow ones do. But the medium pace songs are actually the easiest songs to play for drums, because you can play just at a steady medium pace. The slow songs, though, it's hard because you want to speed it up. And I'm going to warn you, that's how this next song is, Break Every Chain, that we're going to practice. Before we jump into it, though, let me give you a couple of tips here, because there's a few things we want to keep in mind. And I keep waving my drumsticks. I want to talk with them. It's not like a microphone or something. But this is, like I said, this is a very basic beat, very, very simple. But it's important to master the basics before moving on to more advanced concepts. And also, even though, and of course you'll see in our study guide, you'll see that we have a certain way that we've written out where to play the hi-hat, where to play the bass, where to play the snare. HH stands for hi-hat, B stands for bass drum, and S stands for snare. And we have those written over certain words. And we tried our best to put it over the right word in the song. But even though it's over a certain word, does not mean you have to play it or that you should play it right on that word. Okay, for example, in Break Every Chain, we've got a HHB, which is a hi-hat and a bass drum, over the word power. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go right on that power. Instead, the main thing that you want to focus on is actually keeping the rhythm and counting 1, 2, 3, 4. It's all about counting in drums, all about counting. Okay, just like we showed you a minute ago. And finally, another note here, it's very important to try to play a song just like the drummer on the recording, or at least as close as possible. Now, you may disagree with that right off the bat, and I'm sorry if you do, but the reason is because until you develop your own style, and as a beginner, you are not going to have your own style. Until you develop your own style, you want to copy other people that are good. Okay, and once you have learned enough from other people that are good and you've copied enough stuff from them, then at that point you can start developing your own style and you can start playing it differently, okay? But as for right now, it's important to try to play it as close to the recording and as close to the drum as possible. And think about it, it makes sense, right? If they're on a professional recording, they're a professional drummer more than likely. So it's a really good idea to copy what they're doing anyway, because they sound really good. So this brings me to another tip. Practice this song by yourself first, and then practice it with the recording. If you just try to practice it with the recording right off the bat, it's probably going to be hard. So practice it, get it down, get the beat down by itself first, just like we just said a second ago. Practice it, stop the recording, stop the video here, and then actually go practice it by yourself, and then come back and practice it with the actual song, which I provided as a link to a YouTube link that you can click and listen to. So once again, remember, this song is just for practice, and it's just a way to it's just something to give you a fun way to practice and to learn a real song. There are plenty of other songs. You could pretty much turn on a recording from pretty much any song and play this beat, and it's going to work. Now you'll notice in this song, Break Every Chain, that when it starts off, it actually is just the hi-hat. He's just doing 1, 2, and it's really slow. 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, and we picked a slow song because, you know, slower songs are generally easier. Maybe we should have picked a medium-paced one, but try to copy that. Maybe just start off with just the hi-hat, or if you want to, just practice it with the whole beat. Either way, you're going to get some good practice in. It's going to help your timing. And one other thing I wanted to mention, when you're practicing the stuff here by yourself, it's a good idea to go ahead and get that metronome going and practice it with the metronome. And then maybe start off really slow. Maybe start off at like 60 beats per minute or something slow like that on your metronome. Then once you've got that down really well and you're steady and you're keeping a good beat, speed it up to 65, speed it up to 70. And don't be discouraged if you don't get it and you're having a hard time staying on the metronome at first. Everybody does, trust me. So everybody has a hard time staying with the metronome at first. And just know that you're gonna get better. And it may take weeks. It may take a long time for you to get it where you want it to be. But it's a lifetime. I mean, it's a journey of it's not something that's going to happen overnight with playing the drums, and especially with playing with the metronome. That takes time. It can even take, for some people, it can take months or even possibly years until you get to the point where you can just really stay with the metronome. Hopefully, by the grace of God, it's not going to take you that long. And all right, let's go ahead and jump into "Break Every Chain" by Tasha Cobbs. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the play button here on the computer. Most people are probably familiar with this song. You hear the hi-hat? Alright. Like I said, you could just practice with the hi-hat just to practice your rhythm if you want to. And don't worry too much about all the different fills that they do. You're going to hear some. If you want to try to copy some of that stuff, you know, you can copy some of that stuff, but it's not going to hurt you, but you don't have to. That's just advanced stuff if you want to. Okay. Now another way you can play the snare here also is like this, which for a song like this actually sounds better. We'll talk more about this later, but basically hold your stick sideways across the snare with the end right here, and then keep that end right there and just up and down like that. It's called a rim shot or a rim clip. Fills and stuff down the road, you know. So for now, this is just basically to give you something to practice with and just have some fun with. Okay, so we're going to pause it now. There's a lot of other songs you can practice with, though. Really, just take your pick. There are a lot of songs. I would start off with that one though, just for practice. Like I said, we're going to add more stuff with fills and stuff. And we're going to add some different style songs and stuff down the road too. So that's just kind of something to get you going and get you something, give you something fun to practice. So anyways, hope this lesson has been a blessing to you, and God bless. We'll see you back here for your next one.